Let's get started. Get ready to separate reality from myth.
Joining me right now is Sound Income Strategies founder and CEO David Scranton.
They've created a new type of inflation. And although markets have always been an emotional place, they seem to be even more of an emotional place these days.
Jeffrey Small, market watcher, is with me.
Stock market dynamic is getting ready to significantly change.
So let's bring in our co-host, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services and also the brand ambassador for the Retirement Income Store. So right now I'd like to welcome my good friend and co-host, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services, a retirement income store in Melbourne, Florida. Jeff is also author of the Amazon best-selling book, Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. Jeff, as usual, good to see you.
Dave, it's great to see you guys again. I guess we've got a special guest today. Tell us who it is.
We do have a special guest, absolutely. And that is a good friend of the income generation, Ed Slott, author, public speaker, television host. Ed's been called the best source for IRA advice by the Wall Street Journal and America's IRA expert by Mutual Fund magazine. Ed, great to have you back to the show.
Great to be back.
What are some of the biggest concerns you're hearing from folks in the income generation that are 55 or older about their retirement plans as a result of the pandemic, or what the future is financially for our country and taxes?
Well, I don't know what the taxes are. I'll give you some thoughts on that. But what I'm hearing from estate planning attorneys all over the country, and I train lots of them in our programs, their business, according to all of them, is booming. People are worried. People are sick. They're worried about getting sick. People are dying, and they want to make sure their affairs are in order. Now, it's sad that the pandemic finally was the call to action. People needed to deal with things they should have been dealing with all along. So that's what I see happening. People updating their estate plans, their beneficiary forms. Some people haven't looked at these things in years. In fact, when I check beneficiary forms for people, I notice lots of the beneficiaries listed are dead. That's not going to help. That means these things haven't been looked at in years. Now, on yeah, go ahead.
That's a really great point, Ed. You know, the CARES Act that passed December of 2020 or 19, whenever it passed, took away the stretch IRA, one of the largest exemptions in the tax code. So what do we do now?
Well, there are alternative solutions, and that's where checking beneficiary forms would let you know, oh, I named this trust as a beneficiary. That may not work under the Secure Act, because it eliminated the stretch IRA. So if you have a large IRA and plan to leave it to a child, a grandchild, they're not going to be able to stretch it 50, 60 years anymore. They'll probably be stuck with a 10-year rule. They might want to look at Roth conversions or getting funds into a permanent life insurance policy. I think that's a better alternative than the stretch IRA. The IRAs have been downgraded. Insurance and anything tax-free has been upgraded because you can do more. You can leave more and have more control and less tax.
So, Ed, you know, you are one of the most refreshing consumer advocates out there because you're unbiased and you're objective and you tell the truth. You've got your new book coming out, and it's called The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. It's coming out in a few weeks. Tell us where folks can get your book and give us some highlights about your book.
Well, I call it the new retirement savings time bomb because of all the new tax laws and Congress's insatiable need for money from your retirement accounts. There are more and even new, more severe threats to your retirement savings. Remember, most people have most of their life savings in IRAs, 401ks. These funds have not yet been taxed. And that's the key. The taxes are building, growing, unpaid debt, compounding in their IRAs. At some point, the bill's going to come due. And the last thing you want is when you need it for retirement, for that bill to come due and tax rates be jacked up back to 30, 40, 50%. Who knows? Given our debt and deficit numbers, that's very likely. So I go through an actual 5-step plan, very easy 5-step plan, a complete action plan to help you make sure that your IRAs and 401ks and other retirement savings are not depleted by taxes by the time you need them in retirement. Now, it's called the New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. You can learn about it on my website. IRA Help, IRAHELP, IRAHelp.com, or just type in my name, Ed Slott, to Amazon or wherever you get books. I hate to mention one company, but is there another company? I don't even know.
No, I think Amazon's going to swallow them all up. But you're exactly right, Ed. From our viewers and our listeners' perspective, they put away money while they're working on a pre-tax basis. They get a deduction for it. It grows without tax. And then, boom, the time bomb hits. All that money grew, but it also grew, what else? The tax. And so tell us about how your book is going to help consumers. How is your book going to help alleviate that tax?
Well, I draw attention to the biggest problems, and I do it in a fun way. I go through the 5 steps, the timing, the securing. Roth is even a chapter on alternatives to the stretch IRA, like Roth, life insurance, and an overall estate plan. So you have a complete plan. It is something in it for everybody. It's even great for financial advisors to use with their clients, because there's a lot of good checklist type advice items in there.
So it sounds like your book is going to teach people how to keep the money in the family versus giving it to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, the plan you make will determine how much you keep and how much goes to the government. You want to keep more and pay less. You ever hear that saying, less is more? You ever hear that saying?
Yes.
Yeah, well, less is not more. Less is less, except when it comes to taxes. The less you pay, the more you keep. And to keep more and pay less, you have to have a plan, which almost nobody does. That's what my book does for you. It's the new retirement savings time bomb.
Some great words of wisdom. So go out and buy the new Retirement Savings Time Bomb so you can learn more from today's guest, our good friend, Ed Slott. Ed, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Now let's bring back in my co-host, Jeff Small, as well as our next guest, Scott McLean. He's CEO of McLean Advisory Group and has over 35 years experience in financial services. Scott's also the host of Financial Insanity, a weekly educational radio show that you can hear on WBNJ. Scotty, thanks so much for being with us today on The Income Generation.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for asking me. I'm glad to be here.
So, Scotty, what are some of the most common questions you're hearing this year, this tax season, from your clients in The Income Generation?
Stimulus check, taxation. How come I didn't get my stimulus check? How do they work the numbers? Should I do anything different? Should I convert to Roths? They're concerned about the new president and his tax rules. Are they going to go up? What's going to happen? How should they do Roth conversions now versus later if the tax rule changes? So there are some concerns out there, Jeff.
Scott, it's great to see you. I hope you are staying warm in New Jersey. I know you guys are going through a bitter cold.
Don't rub it in like that. Come on, Jeff. That's not fair.
That's not nice. Come on.
Well, okay. Listen, warm wishes to you from Florida.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's redirect here and focus on the show on the income generation. So, Scott, one of the things that we like to discuss on this show is how retirees and pre-retirees can create income and make the shift from growth to conservation and income. How do you do that for your customers?
Education, Jeff, educating them on going from the growth to the income sector. As old as I am at 62, heading to 63, we grew up in a time when the market was screaming in the 80s, and we kind of stay in that mode. The market took off, then it had a couple left hooks, 2000, 2007. And yet, had you invested, let's say, in a treasury in 2000, it was about 6.5%. No risk, no worries. Today, people are worried. The market's sizzling right now. Are they sizzling because of the growth, because of the G? Or as Dave would say, or is it the I, the income from dividends and interest? And by getting people to educate them how to get dividends and interest and get their mind off of just growth, that is the challenge. And I think if people are really concerned and really want to understand what they're doing, this is what I would tell them to focus on, which is why you have a wonderful show, Jeff.
So, Scotty, what are the investments, the tools, the programs that we utilize to create income today? What do you like for your clients? How do we create income for our clients?
We're creating income, obviously, as you've been teaching and in your wonderful book you put out, by dividends and interest. And dividends obviously come in several manners, whether they're preferred stocks, you can get them. You can get growth stocks with dividends, but not as much. You can get bonds. So there's tools out there in the tool chest that are really helpful. Yes, the market's hot like it was in 1928, and everybody didn't want to have the fear of missing out. And they jumped in, and of course, they, as the tide went out, we found out they had no clothes on. Well, we don't want that to happen again. So income generating could be a tremendous tool, which I believe, as you all do, so you can get a nice income. So every day on a Monday or a Tuesday of the first of the month, there's a check waiting in the mailbox, not having to worry about the markets, but enjoying your retirement, which every retiree should deserve and wants.
Dave, can I plug Scotty's book? Can I plug his book?
Go, absolutely, go right ahead. Because
all right,
it's a
Scotty,
great book.
listen, I keep this book in my reception area right next to mine, and I appreciate the compliments, but share with us, what are the 1 or 2 top lessons folks can learn from your book on learning those angles and avoiding those mouse traps?
Number one, I think as working with clients, I want to know if they have ears that they want to listen or ears they want to talk. Do they have the right mindset? Do they want to learn what's going on? And what I mean by that, Jeff, with the art of, I believe, our business or my firm and your firm is understanding the client completely, understanding that their goals and their dreams. And on top of their goals and their dreams, without understanding taxes and understanding where it goes when you pass away, a big piece of people's portfolios or their mindset, or when they sleep well at night, are they sleeping well? By understanding how the 3 blind mice, the accountant, the lawyer, and the financial planner, are they really working together? Obviously, they're all good. The problem is they have their own agenda. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest challenge, which is why I wrote the book. And I think I wanted people to get a lot of tools inside the book on not just fluff. There's a lot of stuff in there, I promise you. And if they read it, they'll understand the traps that are set for them, the internal fees and costs and taxes and legal expenses they can avoid.
Well, Scotty, I couldn't agree with Jeff more. It's a fantastic book, 3 Blind Mice by Scott McLean, financial advisor extraordinaire from New Jersey. We're out of time. Thanks so much for being back with us and being a friend of the Income Generation. And you stay with us. We're not done yet. We have more to come right here in a moment on the Income Generation. We'll be right back.